Hello and welcome to installment 3 of Let's Solve an Acrostic. Starting from the very top without reading or understanding this one at all, let's go. We're going to look at first the constructor comments, a whimsical approach to solving global problems. Don't solve this one on an empty stomach. Okay, so as usual, what we have is a clue section down here and a quote section up here. The goal of an acrostic typically is to start with the clue section, fill in as much of this as you can. Those will populate letters in the quote section, and then we use some of our language tools from just basic rules of English to fill in additional elements of the quote section. Those will help us to populate down here into the clue section and iterate back and forth between the two. Also, great feature of an acrostic is that when you read the first letter of every clue downward from A147 all the way to Z99, that will create the last name of the author and the title of the quote up here. So let's start from the clue section as usual and see what we can find. Also, many of the clues here are related to a certain theme, typically the theme of the quote. Alright, so let's start from the top and see what we can populate here in the clue section. Okay, let's start here with T. American town with 100 plus bell-shaped streetlights. I'm not sure, certainly never been to this town, but you think bell-shaped streetlights reminds me of the Revolutionary War and the story, I think, of Paul Revere telling everybody to ring bells when the British are coming, one if by land, two if by sea, etc. And that town was conquered, so I'm going to guess that we are talking here Concord, Massachusetts. Remember, lots of educated guesses in this. Children's author who famously depicted factory life. Children's author, could that be? Could it be Roald Dahl? R-O-A-L-D D-A-H-L? Willy Wonka, Chocolate Factory? Could be. Not sure. Confection made using liquid nitrogen. What do you make with liquid nitrogen? I know there's a type of ice cream that creates a confection that way. Thought I knew that one. Menu item whose name literally translates to pick me up in Italian. Don't know that one either. This one's definitely tricky. Monotonous sound, I'm going to go with drone. Hides underside. Hides underside. Boy, this one's tricky. typically disciform autumn treat. An autumn. All right, I'm getting the sense from 3 of these clues that we're talking about candy making, treats, etc. Oh, and remember, it says that we suggest not solving this acrostic on an empty stomach. So we could be talking about food, candy making factories, etc. Okay, here's one that fits the theme. Pleasurable as a piece of gossip. That also fits the theme, is delicious. Yen that might cause inflation. Literary award founded in 1919, and it's 2 words in 6 letters? Gee, can't think of that one either. This one is very tough in the clue section. Relative of moose is L. Controverted or fell out. Settle in snugly? Okay. Settle in snugly is nestle, I think, which is, of course, another way of saying Nestle, the candy company. We're getting somewhere. Yen that might cause inflation, of course, is a pun on currency, but a yen is a desire that might cause inflation, probably to have a bigger belly. So there's going to be something in here probably about food. Measure for a mixer. Measure for a mixer. Ounce, maybe? Let's just put that one in there and see what happens. Could be wrong. I've had it up to here. Sounds like you might say enough. Oblong, comestible. A comestible, I believe, is something you eat that's oblong? Like a Twinkie? Like an egg? Not sure. Not sure. This one is definitely harder on the clue section than previous ones. H here, result of a breakup with an archaeologist. With the question mark, that means it's going to be a pun. Something about a dig, something about a bone, something about a breakup with an archaeologist. Boy, that one is tough. Alright, well, let's see what we find in the quote section. Well, first we find that something's wrong between in this 165 section here, because OUE, not a word. Which one did I get wrong? Is it the O? Who knows? Is it the E? It's 166, delicious. I'll bet the one that's wrong is ounce. And instead, I'm going to just delete that. I'm most confident about Roald Dahl and delicious, so I'm going to say I'm wrong about ounce, and that leaves us with OU what? I'm going to put in an R here to make it hour. Does that help with measure for a mixer? Let's see, so if it's not ounce, could it be measure for a mixer? Still don't know. Okay, we've got an O and an N here. That's pretty good. That gives us on. Let's see if we can find S blank R here. This is tricky. The only thing I can think of is SIR, sir, but could we be instead wrong about Nestle, or Concord? I don't think so. I think both of those are probably right. Also because Concord is like Concord grape jelly. So I'm going to keep that one in. But what does that give us in this area? In this J? SIR, sir? Boy, this is tough. Blank R blank up here. It could be try maybe. Most likely it's ARER. If I put in an A here and an E here, what does that do for us? That gives us a typically disciform autumn treat that ends with an A. Yen that might cause inflation. Don't know that one either. Alright, here's a word that starts with D and ends with NT. The most common thing, can't even think of one. Doesn't DOES, it's too long. Didn't, I don't know. Here we have could or would as a possibility in this area. Menu item whose name literally translates to pick me up in Italian. I do not know. It's most likely a dessert, which would be what? Gelato, cannelloni. But it could also be, since pick me up sounds like caffeine or coffee, maybe this could be espresso. Does anything weird happen when we do that? Oh yes, it sure does, because right here we have something H blank blank PD. That's not going to work. And are we confident with the D? Still confident enough. Oh, still confident enough on Concord, which means we would not be confident on espresso, unfortunately. Head into a new phase, V here. Molt? Like a butterfly? Relative of moose. I've watched enough of the British baking show that I feel like I should know this one. When they make mousses, they make things like... can't quite think of it yet. Okay, here's one that I hadn't seen before. Q. Eponym of an elementary set theory illustration. An eponym is kind of like the name of something. It's named after something. An elementary set theory illustration, the first thing that comes to mind is a Venn diagram, which illustrates how different sets are related to each other. So that's good. Let's put in Venn for Venn diagram. Gives us a nice unusual V here in the 145 spot. What does that give us? It's a long word that has a V in it. Believing? Maybe? No, because I need an IEV. I suspect that there's an ING right here, though. I just suspect that given the structure of this word, that we're going to have an I, an N, and a G. If that's true, then defenestrate or boot out is going to start with a G. Defenestrate means to literally throw out a window, or to kick out, boot out. Turning to here, this is most likely a simple word like and. It could be something like one, O-N-E, but if it's and, then we're going to have confection made using liquid nitrogen start with D. And typically, disciform autumn treat start with A. Okay, I think I've got something here. Disciform, looking sort of like a disc. What grows in autumn but apples? So we got apple. Apple what? I was going to say apple pie. Apple jack, apple treat, apple cake.